Have you ever wondered what would happen if Batman, the protector of justice, loses his ideals? What would happen if he becomes the destroyer, the murderer, and the killing machine? Well, he would have a backup. He would make a clone of himself that would replace him as the protector of Gotham in case he goes evil. Well, this is what happened in a comic series titled Batman: The Last Night on Earth, written by Scott Snyder. This comic was a 3-issue comic released in 2019, which explores the journey of a Batman clone in a post-apocalyptic world. In today's video, we will dive into the origin and journey of this Batman clone. But before we get started with our video, we have a small request for you. If you like our content, subscribe to us and like this video. It might be just a simple click for you, but it means a lot for us. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's get started. It's all in your mind, Bruce. The story of this comic starts with Batman going to the crime alley, the same place where his parents were murdered. Alfred was guiding him, but he had a hunch that something was wrong with this case. Batman had been following a bizarre case for the last year where someone had made a chalk drawing of a dead Batman throughout Gotham with his heart at the same place where his parents died. Upon reaching the site, Batman finds a small boy, probably 10 or 11 years old, holding an umbrella. When Batman reaches out to the boy, he finds that the boy is dead or knocked out. So he asks Alfred to call Jim Jordan and inform him there's a victim here. Alfred asks Batman to go far from the boy because he thinks it's a trap. But before Batman can do anything, the boy takes out a revolver and shoots him. When Bruce wakes up, he finds himself tied in some hospital-like institution. He calls out for Alfred, but instead, he is greeted by someone who looks like the Joker. The person introduces himself as Dr. Redmond Hudd. He informs Bruce that he is his doctor and has been treating him in the Arkham Asylum for the last 20 years. This is extremely confusing to Bruce, who thinks it's a ploy by the Joker. He asks himself to be let out, but right about then, he is greeted by a familiar voice. Alfred arrives and is delighted that Bruce has woken up from the nightmare. He informs Bruce not to blame himself because no one in Gotham blames him for his actions. Bruce is confused and asks what did he do? Alfred tells him that he was the one who killed his parents that day in the crime alley. This agitates Bruce, and he starts shouting at Alfred, asking if he is the real Alfred or if he was replaced by one of his villains. Alfred is also frustrated and asks Bruce to stop this madness because he's hurting everyone. He then introduces Bruce to every doctor treating him here in the asylum. And to our surprise, all of his doctors look like the villains of Batman. Alfred explains that Bruce has created a drama inside his head. He calls himself Batman and has been casting the people trying to help him as villains. Bruce is still unconvinced and claims that Scarecrow or Jervis might have done this. Alfred sighs and leaves Bruce. Dr. Redmond claims that he just woke up. It will take him some time to come to terms with the reality. Then he proceeds to inject Bruce with something. Later, Bruce wakes up in his cell. When he digs his walls, he finds Alfred's penny and a dinosaur toy, which resembles the dinosaur replica in his Batcave. The next day, Bruce meets with Alfred and asks if Batman is his imagination. How can he speak multiple languages, and how did he even learn to fight? Alfred sighs and explains that he learned all this from his teachers in the asylum. In one of the events, he also accused his training teacher of being a villain and trying to kill him by drowning him in a whirlpool. Alfred then shows up in his Batman suit, which turns out to be his asylum jacket. Bruce was still not convinced and asks Alfred if he could keep the suit. Alfred allows him, and a few moments later, Bruce wears the Batsuit and tries to escape the institution. He beats down all the guards, and in a few moments, he is face to face with Alfred. He tells him that he knows his secret and questions why he did all of this. Alfred asks his guards to leave and confronts Bruce. He tells Bruce he did all of this because nothing is left for him in the outside world. He clarifies that the world he knew does not exist anymore. He reveals that he did all this because he didn't want him to be Batman. He wants him to live in peace as Bruce Wayne and be with him. Bruce comes closer to Alfred and removes the butler's digital mask, revealing that he is way older than he lets himself look. He tells Bruce that he created half a mile of Gotham with robotic people, which completely resembles the real Gotham, and asks him to come with him and live there. Bruce says he can't because he needs to fix things. He questions Alfred as to why he is so young and strong while Alfred has become so old. Alfred does not answer Bruce's question and asks Bruce to take the penny with him to remember him before he leaves. Alfred asks him for one last favor, a warm hug before he leaves. Bruce Wayne leaves and rises from under a desert. Alfred probably created this Gotham replica under this desert. After walking a short distance, Bruce finds a lantern but is surprised to find that the lantern contains the head of Joker. Joker doesn't remember how he is still alive, but he requests Batman to take his head with him in one last adventure. He says his memory is unclear, but he'll tell Batman everything about this ruined Earth when he remembers stuff. Journey through the destroyed world with his mortal enemy. After walking a long distance with Joker's head by his side, Batman reaches Coast City, the home of the Green Lanterns. Joker informs Bruce that when the final battle for Earth began, Mogo bought a bunch of rings for the beings of Earth to help them fight, but Brainiac killed him. The rings he had bought fell on the Earth. The greedy and powerful hungry people took the rings for themselves, but they didn't have enough willpower to wield the ring. So the rings turned evil and started controlling them. Suddenly, Bruce and Joker are attacked by giant baby constructs made from the Green Lantern ring, with their users running behind their constructs like zombies. They try to fight, but eventually, someone comes to their rescue. An invisible door opens, and Vixen asks Bruce to enter their tank. Inside the tank, Vixen is not alone. She is accompanied by Poison Ivy, who instantly knocks out Batman after learning that he is the real deal. When Bruce wakes up, he finds himself imprisoned, with Vixen, Poison Ivy, and Supergirl standing over him. Suddenly, Wonder Woman comes to the site and breaks out Bruce Wayne. Bruce questions Wonder Woman about what happened and who's responsible for all this. Wonder Woman replies that he is. She informs him that they are now under the earth in a place called the Gem World with a bunch of survivors. Bruce demands to know what happened. So Diana explains that one day Lex Luthor came to the screens and made a case in front of everyone. He claimed that everything is falling apart and goodness is only a lie. He asked people to choose, to either live as good and die with nothing, or choose evil and take everything the world has to offer. The people of the world chose his side and turned on the heroes who had been protecting them. And it was Batman who let everyone inside the Hall of Justice. The people killed everyone, including Aquaman, Green Arrow, and Batman himself. And then a new evil rose to power. He goes by the name Omega. He found the anti-life equation and started controlling everyone according to his will. No one knows his real identity. All they know is he knows Gotham very well because he was raised in the city. She theorizes that Omega might be someone that Batman trained or knew. She further reveals that Omega's first signal was not strong enough. That's why he's raising another signal, which will be powerful enough to control everyone on Earth. Even the Gem World is not safe from him. That's why they are taking everyone and moving to the world of Hades, the god of the underworld. Bruce asks Diana not to run away and claims they need to fight. Diana says that they fought, and he died even before everything started. She asks Bruce if he remembers his story. He says he knows everything. He knows that he is a clone of the real Batman. The real Batman made a machine that would clone him every generation. He did this to ensure that every generation of Gotham would have its protector. Bruce asks to form a team. He says that Alfred told him that Superman was seen near the Plains of Solitude. He asks Diana to come with him and find Superman. Diana denies his requests. She gives him a new Batsuit and asks him to follow them to the underworld because these people need a new Batman. The next day, when Diana goes to wake up Bruce, he is nowhere to be found. Bruce has left to fight one last battle with his mortal enemy by his side. The Last Man of Steel and the Return of Princess Diana. Batman goes to sleep and has a bizarre dream about him interrogating Joe Chill regarding his last case. Suddenly, Batman wakes up from his dream to witness Joker calling him. Joker asks him if he can be his new Robin. But before Bruce can say anything, a Speed Force storm comes their way. They somehow find shelter inside a cave. The speedsters, including Jay Garrick, Barry Allen, and Bart Allen, call out to Bruce to help them. But he knows they are beyond saving, and he can do nothing for them. Meanwhile, Alfred was strolling in the simulated Gotham that he created. Here he was ambushed by Scarecrow and Bane. They reveal that Lord Omega has sent them here. Alfred tries shooting them, but Scarecrow gets a hold of him and injects him with poison. Then we witness Omega for the first time. He comes closer to Alfred and tells him that he successfully stopped the Waynes from going to the movie and that they are alive. Alfred, who was in a delusionary state, becomes happy that the Waynes are all right. On the other side, Batman reaches his location, the Plains of Solitude. Batman was here searching for any sign of Clark Kent, but instead, he was greeted with rockets that he remarked were the same rockets that had brought baby Kal-El to Earth. One of the rockets hits him and he falls unconscious, but an older-looking Clark Kent comes to his rescue. Bruce questions Clark about what he is doing in his cave while the world is in ruins. Clark doesn't answer. He takes Batman to the place that looks like the farmland where Clark used to live with his parents. He doesn't answer any of Batman's questions, which frustrates him. Then he is greeted by Lex Luthor, who looks old and withered. He informs Batman that this is not the real Clark, but a clone of him. Bruce is shocked to find Lex there and questions what he is doing here and where Superman is. Lex replies Superman is everywhere. He then takes Batman to witness all the replicas he created of Superman. Then he takes Batman to his laboratory and he tells him what he is trying to do. He used Brainiac's technology to open a portal that would redirect the baby Kal-El and bring him to his place. He claims he tried multiple times but couldn't correct the algorithm. But every time baby Kal-El arrives, he is already dead because of aging. Bruce finally asks him what he did back then. So Luthor starts narrating. He reveals that he asked Superman to hold a debate in front of the world about good and evil and let the viewers choose between good and evil. He explains that the one who loses will be impaled by kryptonite shards sunk beneath the land. Luthor claims that he was sure Superman would win and he would lose. He was also sure that Clark won't let him die and will save him. But the result of their debate was not what he envisioned. The humans choose to embrace their dark side. The kryptonite shards under the earth impaled Clark Kent, and he died in that very instant. Then the humans started massacring the heroes, but they didn't stop at that. They also went after the villains. So he tried to make a clone of Batman to fight back, but it didn't work out, and they failed. That's why he was trying so hard to bring Kal-El to Earth, to raise him and bring order to the world once again. Their conversation is interrupted by the arrival of the old Superman clone. To their surprise, the clone starts attacking them and takes them to Scarecrow and Bane, who have arrived in this plane. As it appears, this Superman clone was now under the control of Scarecrow. He orders Clark to kill Batman, and he is about to, but suddenly, Wonder Woman arrives on the site and kills the Superman clone. As it turns out, this is not the only clone under the control of Scarecrow. He was now controlling all the Superman clones that Lex Luthor had created. Diana claims they can't fight an army of Superman, even if they are just his clones. So Batman reminds Lex that he can create portals to any place, and Diana asks him to open a portal to the eastern edge. Bruce asks Luthor to come along, but he denies it, saying that he still has a special connection with the clones and might be able to stop them. Diana and Batman land on the cloak of the Spectre, who was also dead when the battle reached Hell and Heaven. Now his cloak serves as the door to everywhere. They enter one of the creeks, and Bruce asks where they are going. Diana answers to the place where everyone now resides. But to go there, they had to pass through the River of the Dead, which was completely black. Bruce asks Diana how she can see in this darkness. She replies that the lasso of truth guides her. Bruce asks if he can also hold the lasso of truth, but Diana denies it because if he does, he'll see every person who died because of him. Batman says he's okay with it, but when he holds the lasso of truth, he finds that he can see every Justice League member. But among all the voices, one stands out because it was the voice of the only family he knew, Alfred. Batman was devastated to see Alfred there because he had seen Alfred just a few days ago, and he couldn't be dead this early. He convinces himself that this is an illusion and Alfred is still alive. They finally reach their destination, and Bruce is shocked to find that their destination is Gotham, which now looked completely different from what he remembered. He witnesses the signal that Omega uses to control everyone on Earth. They try to pass through the streets of Gotham secretly, but are ambushed by the Court of Owls. But to Batman's surprise, the leader of this Court of Owls was none other than Dick Grayson. The final battle with Omega. Dick takes Batman and Diana to the Batcave. There he meets with Barbara, Jim, and a few other Resistance fighters. Dick and Barbara were married and had a daughter named Bryce Grayson. Dick informs that they have chosen the alias of the Owls because the signal of Bat has become corrupted. Bruce is okay with it and is glad that they are alive. Dick reveals what happened in Gotham. When Omega rose to power, it was difficult for anyone to beat him because he was as strong as him but more mad. He took over them, and they were under his control for years. It was Tim who saved all of them. Tim Drake broke his neck in the early days of the fight, but he rose back. He created a robotic body for himself that listens to his thoughts. He also made a blocker to block the power of the anti-life equation. But all this was a waste because Omega is raising a new signal, and there is no way to resist that signal. He has found an amplifier and has kept it in Arkham, which is heavily guarded by the villains. Batman asks them to fight back, but Dick claims the fight has already happened. They launched a full-scale war, and Tim Drake died in the war. Batman somehow convinces them to fight again, and Bryce suggests that maybe Selina would help them. They all meet with Selina Kyle, and she informs that she was instructed to notify Omega if any of them came to visit her, but she will not. She goes on to give them weapons that would help them in their last stand. She also gives Wonder Woman her real lasso of truth. The team is divided in two. Batman and Joker, who now wears Tim Drake's suit, go to Wayne Manor to fight Omega, and the rest go to Arkham Island to disable the amplifier. Batman and Joker fight through Omega's goon and reach Omega's lair, which was designed like the Batcave. Here he has stored all the trophies of conquest he gathered after defeating all the villains. Suddenly, Omega arrives and ties both of them. He introduces himself as Omega and welcomes Bruce. Meanwhile, in Arkham Island, the group successfully infiltrated the guarded facility. Once inside, they found that the facility where the amplifier was stored was locked. So, Bryce uses one of Riddler's technology and opens the door. And everyone is shocked to find out that the amplifier is Martian Manhunter. Omega plans on using Martian's telepathy abilities to scale his anti-equation signal and bring every living being on Earth under his control. In Wayne Manor, Omega makes Bruce sit on the Mobius chair. He claims that he will wipe his memory and he will become his new soldier. Joker escapes and comes to Bruce's rescue, but Omega beats him. He stomps on him repeatedly until he dies and claims that he fulfilled Joker's wish of dying at Batman's hand. Bruce shouts that he's no Batman. He thinks that Omega is the Batman clone that Lex Luthor created. He claims that the real Bruce Wayne would be ashamed of what he has become. Omega says that he disagrees. He opens the mask and reveals that he is the real Bruce Wayne. The Bruce Wayne clone is shocked to see what the real Bruce Wayne has become. Omega says that he was severely injured after the people tried to kill him, but he got back on his feet, and this time, he planned to save everyone from themselves. He reveals that he cloned him because he would not last long, and when he dies, he wants him to take his place. That was his purpose all along. He leaves after turning on the Mobius chair, and it starts the countdown until it wipes Bruce Wayne's mind. But Joker, who is still not dead, tells the clone Bruce Wayne that he is more of a Batman than the real Bruce Wayne, who has strayed away from his principles. Thus, Batman uses Alfred's penny to break free and confronts Omega on the rooftop. Meanwhile, on Arkham Island, his team was discovered by the villains and they were fighting for their lives. Under Omega's control, Martian Manhunter attacks Wonder Woman and burns her body. On top of the Wayne Tower, Batman and Omega beat each other in a brutal showdown, and Omega impales Bruce with the spear containing the head of Darkseid. Omega instructs the Martian Manhunter to start the amplification. All hope seemed lost, and it appeared Omega had the last laugh. But Bruce Wayne does not give up and attacks Omega. After another brutal confrontation, Batman defeats Omega by impaling him with the same spear in his neck. With Omega dead, everyone under his mind control starts breaking out, and the war ends. Later, the Owls abandon their owl costumes and become a part of the Bat family. Finally, the spacecraft containing the baby Kal-El arrives, and Bruce adopts him as his own. Marvelous verdict! Batman: The Last Night on Earth is considered one of the best Batman stories ever told because of the battle of ideals. We have already seen a few different versions of the evil Batman, but this one hits harder because here, Batman was not evil. He was just broken. Most people think Superman is the villain of the Injustice storyline, but he isn't. He was just more aggressive and brutal and did what he thought was right to protect people. Just like that, this Batman who turned Omega was not a villain. He was a broken hero who saw the darkness inside people, who saw how inhuman the humans can be. Thus he decided to protect them from the real beast, that is, themselves. So one can say that this comic was a beautiful essay on the real nature of humans, but, more importantly, on the absolute brilliance of Batman. With that being said, if you like our content, do like and subscribe if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe. Thanks, everyone!